Hi, everyone. Welcome to the EO Wonder podcast. Today, I have an incredible entrepreneur and friend, Christy Moody. I first met Christy, I think there was like a COVID group, right, through Katie's game night. And I just have been super impressed by Christy. She has an incredible company called Soleil Sunwear. And I purchase her products and just really wanted to get to know her a lot more because, as an entrepreneur, it's always just wonderful to see how everyone succeeds. And I think that you'll learn a lot from Christy. So, Christy, welcome to the EO Wonder podcast.
Thank you so much, Kalika, and thank you for being one of my first customers. It really means a lot to me that you support my brand and you're a continuing customer, and I'm excited to get to know you better too.
I think that is really key, returning customer, and not only returning, but recommending it to all my other friends. Why don't you tell everyone what Soleil Sunwear is and why they should buy them?
Sure. Okay, so Soleil Sunwear is a line of sun protective clothing for women. Stay tuned for men's and kids. And I'm wearing a piece right now. I noticed, okay, first of all, I noticed changes in my skin as I started to get into my 40s and 50s, and changes in my skin that I didn't understand because I'd always been a pretty faithful sunscreen wearer. And I thought, what is this? Like, there's got to be something I can do for my skin besides sunscreen. And by the way, I'm a big sunscreen proponent. I think it's critical. Everyone should wear SPF broad spectrum 50 plus all the time and apply it every 2 hours. However, we're chronic underappliers, not just in this country, but all over the place. So I don't think Americans understand that you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours, even if you're not sweating or working out. Even I didn't realize that. And your skin records sun cumulatively over time. So the sun you got when you were 10, 11, 12, 15, 18, 25, 32, it's all recorded by your skin. So you can't erase what's been done. The best way to keep your skin young and healthy is to protect it with a physical barrier. So there were products out there, and there are some great products out there, but I wanted something that was going to cover, first of all, the most underprotected and overexposed parts of the body, which are hands, chest, sides of the face. I have a really big hoodie so you can actually protect the sides of your face. And then, of course, the rest of your torso. And I wanted something that was really cool and lightweight and looked good. Because I'm a big hiker, and I'd be out on the hiking trail and seeing women with like flap hats and scarves and gloves and going, I know what you're after, but there's a better way. So I wanted to create a better way. I also wanted something for the car. So something I could wear when I'm driving, having my hands on the steering wheel, because you're getting sun inside your car. It's bouncing off everything, all the surfaces in your car, even if you have a sun protected windshield. And, some cars do have sun protected windshields, but most of them don't. So we don't realize that all that sun is being recorded by our skin as well. So the other statistic I'll just share quickly is 90% of skin cancers and visible signs of aging are caused by sun exposure. So there's so much we can do to protect ourselves. And I just wanted something that was great that I'd wanted to throw on, whether I'm going for a hike or going for lunch or to the farmer's market, that I could wear all the time, feel really good in, and that I would replace all the sunscreen that I was constantly putting on my body, and that wasn't completely working anyway.
And it's lightweight, like the apparel that you have out there. Not only is it sometimes not as pleasing to the eye, I mean, your products are beautiful and then they feel so good, but you have like stylish hoodies and stylish colors, and you also have the matching pants. Like you have it all. And then your driving gloves are like the best. I use your driving gloves also, like when I'm taking my 10,000 step walks as well, too, as a second layer.
Smart girl. Smart girl. Thank you for that plug. Yeah, I mean, the fabric, I worked very hard to find a fabric that was as lightweight as possible and as soft as possible, because you're just not going to wear something if it doesn't feel good, right? End of story. No matter how much
Feel
protection
and look good.
and
Yeah.
look good. Exactly. Thank you. And I wanted pieces that were fashionable too, because I felt like that was a kind of missing in the market at the time. And I think more and more is coming on scene, but a lot of it is strictly athleisure. And I wanted something that could kind of convert to just be more casual wear.
Tell us a little bit about the beginning of your company. So you had this great idea. I think you also talk in your bio that you were from California, but you were raised in Arizona. And so that you had the catalyst of your idea. Take us through the steps, like in the early stage of your business.
Okay, sure. Okay, so a lot of my idea happened in the car driving and like reaching for something to cover my arms or to try to protect my face, seeing this like sunscreen smeared console in my car, like just not even bothering to put it on because I'm only going to be in the car for 20 minutes anyway, then realizing that was causing damage, etc. So if you can understand my inspiration of being in a car and trying to put something on and, practically getting in an accident, so I started with gloves, right? I started with gloves and scarves. But I'm the kind of person where if I've already got something going, I end up kind of just spending time with it. So I spent a lot of time on my living room floor with jersey sheets, literally trying to, because I was trying to find some stretch fabric that was really lightweight. And I love these sheets that I slept in. And I thought, oh gosh, this feels really comfortable and luxurious. What can I try to do with this, right? I branched out from that. Don't worry, I'm not going to sell you jersey sheets, but that's what created my original concept. So I started with gloves and scarves, and I just spent a lot of time trying on different hoods, figuring out how I could create the most sun protection possible for all those overexposed bits, and literally just cobbling together prototypes. Now, I don't know how to, I've learned how to sew since then, but I'm still not a very good seamstress. So I got a Groupon for a sewing class in Cerritos, which was about an hour and a half drive for me. And I drove out to Cerritos 3 weekends in a row, and I just took some one-on-one sewing classes so I could cobble together prototypes of what I wanted. And I ended up coming up with 3 different tops, 2 kinds of gloves, and 2 scarves. Because again, I kind of wanted something for everything, and not every single garment is going to do everything you want it to do. So those concepts, again, I came up with on my living room floor. Sometimes I had to use tape, sometimes I had to use staples just to, create the thing that I wanted that I couldn't create with my sewing machine, which now I actually can use a little bit. And then I found an actual seamstress and an actual pattern maker to help me build true prototypes that I could then have manufactured. And that was a really difficult process, because what I didn't know is that in a lot of industries, vendors want your business. That is not true in the clothing business. They want companies that already have some volume, because working with small entrepreneurs like me is pretty labor intensive for them, and they don't always have the time or the patience. So I was very, very fortunate to get introduced to a manufacturer who helped me to build out my first collection, and then we were off to the races.
So you found the material. It's not quite jersey. I mean, it's like sort of like your secret, but and you found this contract manufacturer. Did you also have the name of the brand? Like, take us through that as well too, because Soleil Sunwear is such a gorgeous brand too. Just the name of it.
Thank you, thank you. So yes, you mentioned earlier that I was raised in Arizona and have lived in California for the last 30 years. I also spent 3 years in France, and I'm a Francophile, and French language and culture is extremely important to me. And so I wanted something that, you know, embraced that. And I also, when I was living in France, saw French women are just so, what's the
Stunning. Je ne
stunning?
sais quoi.
Well, they have the je ne sais quoi. And I really admired that quality. I also really admire how women in France age so gracefully and so beautifully. And it's not because of Botox and fillers, it's because they have this self-confidence and this ease and this comfort with fashion that go together that is just so natural to them. And so I wanted to capture that spirit that I find hard for us to capture in the US. It's a different culture. So that's how I came up with Soleil Sunwear. I was able to trademark it, which was a huge, exciting day for me. And then I actually got some help from my sister, who's an incredible graphic designer, for the logo. And she created this beautiful logo that I'm so happy to have now.
And I love it, the name, because usually, because I own a branding agency, I always tell people 15 characters or less. It's so easy to remember. Sometimes when I interview entrepreneurs for the podcast, or they want to come to me for advice, or I'm trying to connect them, and for the life of me, I cannot remember their name. And what's great about your brand, there's alliteration. And it's just, even though it is French, like it's so easy to spell. And the fact that you can trademark it is fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to hear you say that because I didn't have the mechanics for choosing the brand. It just sounded good. And, Soleil, for anyone who doesn't know, is the French word for sun there, and it's spelled Soleil. That's the part that gets a bit confusing because there is another brand called Soleil, Sole, with an accent over it. I think it's sunglasses. I could be mistaken. So it actually can be a little confusing for some consumers, but anyone who knows French, a little bit of French, hopefully knows the word for sun, which is soleil. And again, like I am such a big proponent of learning other languages and really wanted to send a nod to my French friends. So thanks for saying that. I'm glad to hear that it sounds really good from the customer side too, that it's memorable and rolls off the tongue. And
Yeah,
yeah,
it resonates. I mean, I took French when I was younger, and that was my language that I took when I was in college, but still, yeah, like I think it's amazing. So,
thank you.
so you got your, I mean, first of all, when you told me that you were taking sewing lessons, it just gave me goosebumps because I mean, here is this really determined entrepreneur with this unabashed enthusiasm for what they're going to do, right? Like you took sewing lessons. Like a lot of times people will like delegate that, right? But you actually did it.
I had to figure out how to create these prototypes. Let me tell you, I'm a
No
pretty
questions asked, right?
Yeah,
Like
I'm a pretty good student. I did pretty well in college. I always tried to get good grades. The one class I failed in my entire life was sewing. So
oh no,
I was terrified.
you're
Terrified.
joking.
I'm not joking.
You failed
I
sewing?
failed sewing in seventh
How?
grade.
You just
I
didn't show up. Come on.
no, I Kalika, let me tell you, I don't know how. I will tell you that it was home ec, right? So I got an A in cooking and an F in sewing. I couldn't
No.
sew the daily pillow. I don't
You
know.
should start with that.
I
That is
don't
like a
know.
brand story from someone who got an F in sewing to someone who has a gorgeous apparel line. Come
I
on.
would love to say like F in sewing, but A in fashion. I don't know. We'll
Exactly.
work with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is uncanny. And I come from a family of creatives, and I was always the black sheep in the family. I was the academic, and I never really, because my older siblings were so good and talented in the arts, it was not something that I kind of steered away from. I'm like, okay, well, I'll be really good at spelling and math. So it took me some so let's just say a mental mindset change to embrace my own creativity and then try to get enough technical skill beyond that creativity to make something in 3 dimensions that people could buy. And
But
it's
good
been
for
a wonderful
you.
journey.
I mean, you drove to Cerritos, people. You know where Cerritos is? Like they have like cow farms there. Like it smells like dungs,
It
right? Like
was it was not was that that was not easy, I will say, because traffic in LA. Anyone who's listening who's not in LA, I'm sure you've heard because you watch the Californians on SNL, like how you get to a place and how long it takes you is really like what we focus on as Los Angeles. And it was hot, it was hard, it took forever. I mean, it was probably a day just for a 2 hour class, to get there and back. But it was worth it. It was a $15 Groupon. What can I say? I was on a bootstrap budget, which, has funded this business. So I had to make it work.
and you have sales. Tell us a little bit about your, well, besides me being your one of your first customers, tell us a little bit about that, like your journey with selling these, because I know that they're sold out.
Well, thank you. I for asking because sales, wow, okay. I'm sure other entrepreneurs have shared this with you too. It doesn't matter how good your product is if people don't know about it. So
Right.
that has been a rude awakening for me because I was so happy and excited and proud after a couple years of having this product on the market to be getting such great reviews and repeat buyers and word of mouth and really not spending almost anything on advertising. So a lot of this has been organic growth. And it was a very, very scary thing for me to put this out into the world and not know what was going to come back for all the reasons I mentioned earlier, and also because I had never done anything like this before. So to have gotten past the fear to, very warm reception and some very happy customers and realizing like, oh my gosh, this actually worked. And that's amazing. And it feels so good. And I have so much more I want to share. And sales are hard. It's hard to get new customers. Right now I'm mostly B2C, though I'm working on a B2B strategy. And reaching customers on the internet used to be much easier, and the algorithms keep changing. Advertising is now almost required in order to acquire new customers. So it has been a journey. It will always be a journey. This will be something, I mean, my job will go from, I mean, my designing is about 10% of what I do. Everything else is sales, marketing, and admin, and fixing your printer. But probably 30% of what I do. So
But you have some creative ideas. I mean, there are people, there are influencers who use your product. You have affiliate, collaborations with other influencers going on. Tell us a little bit about how you've bootstrapped it and use your creativity to market your products.
okay, and let me just share that this is a growth area that I am working toward increasing significantly, because what I saw that was the most impactful over the course of this business, the last 3 years that I've been operating it, is one dermatologist reached out to me. Actually, I got very lucky, and she said, "Hey, I'm going to do a post about sun protection. Would you send me something?" And I'm sure, absolutely. Her name was Dr. Samantha Ellis. Dr. Samantha Ellis, thank you so much. She posted my sage green crop hoodie on her YouTube channel, and I'm still getting sales from that a year later. My sage green hoodies sold out in a week, thanks to that one nod, because she's someone that people like, know, and trust. And that is what you need in order to get sales, which is why it's so hard for small business and small designers to get started, is they just don't know you. And there's so much noise in the marketplace. So again, does it matter how great your product is until someone else tells them that it is, right? And she loved it, and she said nice things. And so that was incredible. I've also had pop-ups at Veronica Beard in 2 different locations. That was great. That led to a wholesale order on Carbon 38, which was great. I've had my clothing at a store on Montana Avenue that did really well. So, there have just been little pop-ups, little collaborations that have led to a lot more growth. But like I said, that's a growth area for me. I'm going to be doing a lot more outreach. I also have partnerships with a couple dermatologists and estheticians that are affiliates, so they get a percentage of sales, and they let customers know about the products. And they're big believers, of course, because they care about skin, they care about skin cancer, and they care about sun protection. So that's been kind of a natural pairing or collaboration, and I'm working to build that out as well. I also just got my first country club client, so I am now at the Hillcrest Country Club tennis shop. Just launched, so we'll see how tennis players like the products. And then, there's just a lot we're going to be building on in this coming several months, because now we're in the sunny season, and that gets a lot of attention from pretty much, from consumers and retailers alike.
Well, I just got to tell you, a lot of people want to be on the Entrepreneurs Organization podcast, and usually I'm just like, contact your leader or something like that. But I was the one who reached out to you because, like I said, I use the product, and I don't want this to be like an overly like marketing thing, but I absolutely love your product, and I think it is definitely the first step is word of mouth, right? Like your dermatologist reaching out to you and then sharing it because they really believe in your product, and it's
Yes,
so
it's
stylish.
huge.
Yeah.
Thank you. It really, I can't thank you enough, because it's so hard as a small business to grow. And, it's not inexpensive to manufacture clothing, especially in LA. So costs are high, and to get real volume really requires some shout outs. So thank you.
Yeah, and your pants are comfortable. Like, anyway, I just love it. So everyone
Thank
definitely
you.
please check out soleilsunwear.com. But I'd love for you to, as this entrepreneur who is, growing, and it was so interesting because, I see your success from the outside and you're just like, oh, but then I can always get, somewhere else, like I really just want to be able to celebrate how far you've come. And
Thank you.
also, isn't it so typical for us as entrepreneurs, just like, oh, well, I could just do better, like I could, right?
You get it. It's so true. It's really important to celebrate accomplishments, and also probably the last thing on my to-do list, right? Because
Yeah.
there's always such a long to-do list when you're an entrepreneur. Yeah, and thank you. And it's true. I'm always looking for the next possible avenue for selling, for cutting my costs, for creating efficiencies. And yeah, it's hard to see the forest for the trees, to not see the forest for the trees. How do we say this?
Right. And then you're still designing, like the new colors, right? You're coming out with some new colors.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And that exactly. So
Yeah.
I do sometimes get stuck in the detail of how am I going to get this out to people, but I have some new designs I'm working on. I have some new colors I'm really excited to launch. that I think people are going to be happy about and excited about.
Yeah, and then you also have gorgeous models too, so I think that also helps. And
That
you
helps.
yourself, I'm
Oh,
sure, don't people like come up to you and say like, "What is that you're wearing?"
you
You
know,
love your, you wear your
thank
product.
you. I will tell you that the owner of the boutique where I have my clothes in Santa Monica is like, "Do you ever wear anything else?" I was like, "Not really. No, I pretty much always wear my own clothes because I'm always moving around. I'm always outside, and when I come to her shop, I'm usually walking there and bringing her to inventory, or it's nice because I can just layer it. When it gets a little cooler, I put on a vest, or I put on a leather jacket, or maybe I'll throw on a pair of jeans. So I think actually, even though I don't get a ton of people stopping me and saying, "Where do you get that?" A lot of people don't realize that it's sun protective, which to me is one of the best compliments because it doesn't look like I'm wearing a sun protective top. It looks like I'm wearing a cute top.
Right. Yeah, some of those sun protective tops, like they just look really hard. Like, I don't know, like they just don't feel like they can breathe, you can breathe or move in it. But you literally could do yoga in your clothes, don't you think?
I absolutely, I can and I do. Yes, thank you. And that was really important to me that you be extremely comfortable. And again, the lightweightness, I can't hit that hard enough because you can wear a lot of clothes that are sun protective that you're not going to feel comfortable in the middle of summer. So I actually feel like this fabric, because it also keeps you cool, like it's cool to the touch. That was one of the most important qualifications for the fabric I selected was, can I wear this in the hot, hot sun? Because I can wear a jean jacket and be sun protected. I can wear a flannel and be sun protected. But what am I going to want to put on instead of sunscreen that's going to keep me cool?
Yeah. And I also love you have like crops, tops as well too, so you can layer it. And those scarves are just incredible too.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I tried to create something that the sun scarf in particular was a fun project because it's super versatile, right? It's something that I wanted you to be able to throw over sundress and just look a scarf. And then if you look more closely, there are magnets that attach it to the front of your neck and chest so that you can cover this part of your body. There are little pockets for your hands so you can hold your steering wheel. And together, if you're wearing a tank top or a sundress and you're sitting in your car, you just put on that scarf, you attach it here around your neck and chest, put your hands on your your driving wheel, steering wheel, and and you're good to go. And I actually created that because I have a dog and I was constantly taking my dog to, say, doggy daycare and then going to work. So I'd have all this get up on that wasn't mine, right? It was just things that I found that I could wear in my car. I'd stop and have to take everything off because it looked ridiculous. I'd take my dog inside. Thank you very much. I'd come back in, I'd put everything back on, and then I would drive downtown to work. And I was like, oh, this is so ridiculous. Like, there's got to be a better way. So I wanted things that looked really cute. So now when I wear my driving gloves, I'm perfectly happy to keep wearing them when I walk into a shop or when I walk down the street. They actually look kind of cute with a tank top or a muscle tee. And then with the sun scarf, I just unfix it. I take my hands out of the pockets and I can walk into the store or to the doggy daycare or wherever I'm going and not have to like redo everything.
And
So
it really does take discipline. I think that you really changed my habits, because I have like all these different gloves in my, like sort of hidden, because sometimes I'll walk in with my driving gloves and be like, oh, okay, so now I keep them in like my favorite little, you know, Adidas jacket because I know they're always there. And, my housekeeper washed it and like, I thought I lost one. I gotta tell you, I was like freaked out, like, where are my driving gloves? Where are my driving
I
gloves?
love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I love hearing that.
Yeah, and I love that there's also so many different colors. But anyway, so let's talk about business though. And there are a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs. There are a lot of entrepreneurs who also, are successful, but there are a lot of people who are also starting out. What type of advice would you give to someone in that like, I really think that this product needs to be made, but not sure if they should do it?
Okay, my perspective only, obviously. I am such a big proponent and supporter and enthusiast of creativity, pure and simple. If you have a creative idea, just doing it is so rewarding, no matter what happens. And I think that for me, especially like a closet creative, it was really important for me to do it for the sake of just exploring and discovering my creativity. And that had to be enough. right? Of course, I had much bigger dreams and goals, but I had no idea what the runway was going to be, if it was ever going to be profitable, if anyone was going to buy it, how I was going to build the website, like create the social media channels, like all that stuff. And if you think about all that stuff, it will distract you from the first step. Number one. Step number one is make the thing, right? Just make it however you can make it. I literally made it with staples and tape with sheets on my floor. Start there. So that worked for me, because then when I saw something move from an idea in my head to a thing in the world, I mean, I still get goosebumps when I think about that, because that was a huge river to cross, just that alone. So if something's living in your head, get it out of your head, get it on paper, get it into whatever 3 dimensions it needs to be in, so you can touch it and feel it and see it. There's something magical about that process. That to me literally was the fuel for everything else that has come since, and that continues to fuel me, because I have ideas that I want to do now, and I really, like, I have so little time for designing because of all the other components of the business. So that has to be there in order to keep you going when you're busy trying to figure out why your printer won't work, or your Shopify site suddenly won't ship to that state, or whatever, you know. So that creativity, or that creative process alone, is so worthwhile. I would also say, don't quit your day job. I still have a job, because you can't run out of money. So the deal with businesses that so far my experience has been, the person with the most patience, longevity, and persistence wins. You can't run out of cash. So if you spend too much money up front, or you try to grow too fast, you could very easily run out of money, or have to sell the company too soon, or have to get investors too soon, and then you're giving away parts of the company that later will have much more value. So I personally am on a slow growth track that works for me. It's what makes me comfortable. It's what makes me feel safe in the world. And it's what gives me inspiration to kind of keep building little by little as I'm able to do so. And then I'm not overwhelmed by, investors needing things to go a certain way, or, an order that I can't fill, right? All of those things are challenging on a stress level, right? And so for me, I've tried to keep the business as organic as possible, to how I'm comfortable with it growing. Now, I would love to see it grow a lot more, and I'm actually in a position now where I can start focusing on growth, because I've, over the last 3 years, continued to move slowly. So yeah, and you've got to just start with step one. Step one is make the thing, and then there's a million other steps to follow. But yeah, I guess be patient and be persistent.
No, I just had Tracy Holland in the podcast, and she is the founder of Hatch Beauty. And one of the advice that she said was, don't quit, because a lot of times when entrepreneurs are meeting these challenges, they just want to just throw on the table. They have this great product, and then they're just like, oh, sales and marketing, way too hard.
Yeah.
But you just have to keep going. So persistence and patience, I think definitely they go together.
I think, one of my aunts who was married for 40 years to her husband, who passed away, unfortunately, but they were married for his entire life and got together when they were 18. Someone asked her in a room of other married couples, what's the secret to marriage? And she said, not getting divorced, right? That's the secret to marriage. Okay, I'm not married. I can't speak to that, but I will tell you that that's the secret so far to business. It's just don't stop. Don't quit. Now you can slow it down. You can take a minute. You can back up. You can feel discouraged. Like, all of those things are a normal and natural part of the process, but just keep going, you know?
I mean, it's so fun. I mean, that is such a simple, no one ever told me that either. Like, yeah, just don't, just don't get divorced. Like, oh,
Yeah,
like,
don't
duh,
leave. Don't
right?
leave.
They have that advice. Don't go to sleep angry and all that stuff, but like, just, just don't sign the papers.
Just stay. Yeah. And just know that if it's hard, good. That's what it's not going to be easy. Like, it's not supposed to be easy. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. It's also one of the funnest things I've ever done. So, like, I don't want to quit, because I'm going to miss out on so much fun. I mean, I'll miss out on all the stress and the fear and I'm sure mistakes, because gosh knows the mistakes there's mistakes. But that's just part of life. That's part of the learning curve. That's, starting a business will bring up every insecurity and fear and challenge and opportunity that you can imagine. And I want to be there for all those opportunities and all those possibilities.
And can you imagine if you didn't start this a few years ago? Where would you be today? Like you'd probably be bored. Like, what would you be doing, right?
I don't know. I mean, the same old thing. I'd probably be looking for something to do.
Or putting, all those clothes on,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know one
you'd
thing
still
is
be
I'd
doing
have
that.
more sun damage. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
true. Yeah. So I think that a lot of times products come from this need. Like when someone comes up with a idea, you really, really want to do it because, and I'm sure that you're not alone. And that's probably what you're thinking too. Like, I'm not alone in this.
Well, that's what I've discovered. And thank God, because it turns out I'm not that unique. Other people have a very similar need that I had. And that's great. That just means I have to keep designing for myself because I know what I like. And so far, that's really worked, you know? And so if you have an idea, whoever you are listening, and you need it, or this would really serve you, or you really enjoy having this thing, you're not alone. There's no way.
Yeah. And I love it that, because I don't know if you know that I also invented the purse hook. Sometimes I always forget that I invented it. But if I was thinking to myself, like, what if I never did that? Like all the experiences of me going to China, like, meeting that design agency that took $15,000 of my money, like all that, I wouldn't have never experienced those experiences, and so
And
fun.
and so do you like I just can I turn the microphone over for a second? What would you be if you had never invented the person?
Well, you know what's really interesting? I was in the middle of trying to have a baby. Like it had taken me about 5 years to have a baby, and I think that like a couple years before I started LuxLink, I had, I lost a baby, and I was telling myself like, what do I have to birth? And LuxLink really was something that I had to birth. Like it was like sort of like I put everything on hold trying to get a baby, and for the next 2 years, I just put my creativity in something else. And then lo and behold, after I got back from China, my second trip back, when I already had the prototype, I got pregnant naturally. Like it was just so interesting. So
Oh, wow.
so I don't know. Like I had to give birth to, like it was almost just like I don't know, the universe was pushing me to do this thing.
That's
Yeah,
fascinating.
yeah.
Do you ever listen to Martha Beck?
I love Martha Beck.
Me too.
She's amazing.
She's amazing. She had a podcast recently about something very similar where someone was trying to get pregnant and couldn't. And as soon as she adopted a baby, she got pregnant, right? Or as soon as she committed to adopting this baby that she found, basically, it took the pressure off, right? There's something about that energy of letting go of the outcome, but committing to what you really want, what you really dream of, in whatever way you can make it happen. And then, you know, the universe opens up, or magic is created, or whatever you believe in. Um, Things happen mysterious ways.
Yes, it's something that you can't control. So why don't you just, like Tara Brach will say, radically accept it? Like this is where I'm going, and it really made a difference. And I'm really glad that I went down that path. I mean, it was really interesting because then I had two companies and a newborn, and
Oh my
that
God.
that also had like these challenges as well too. But
Of course.
fun looking back. First,
Do you think,
yeah.
yeah. I think that's the thing I think of entrepreneurship that isn't said enough. It really is fun.
Yes, yes, yes. And definitely funny when you look back at it, you're just like, what the heck was I doing? Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's so great. So what are you looking forward to in 2024? I know we're like in May, halfway through the year. What's next for you?
Well, first of all, I want to repeat that word because I really sometimes forget to have fun with whatever I'm doing. And lately I've discovered that is the secret sauce, is to really just have fun and take it easy, like don't worry so much. I'm not saying don't be cautious, don't get your numbers together, don't make sure you're not spending too much more than you're making. but I really have some fun ideas. I'm really excited to collaborate with some new people. I'm really excited to kind of show up in some new stores. I have a really small team I'm starting to build of women that I just adore and are so great and positive and enthusiastic about the brand and are helping me get into some new places. So I'm just excited to see that grow. Yeah, I'm excited to start seeing my product on other people in the world. I'm also bringing some women to Provence in the fall. So my first kind of, I'll call it Soleil Somewhere trip.
Oh, tell
So
us.
yeah,
Maybe
well,
some entrepreneurs will join.
there are
What's
a
it
couple
about?
spots. There are a couple. It's really so. I'm doing this in partnership with a woman named Tasha Powell, who is part of a small business called Pitcher and Powell, and they do these culinary tours in different parts of the world. So when I met her, I thought, oh my God, how tell me everything. First of all, you're living in Provence part of the year. You're living the life that the sliding doors version of me would
Yes.
be doing what you're doing.
Yes. Gwyneth
Um,
Paltrow's movie, right? Oh,
yeah,
such a great movie.
exactly. So I really admired what she was doing and how she was doing it. And I said, we've got to do something together. Let's collaborate. So she's planning everything on the ground. She's actually in Provence right now, putting all the pieces together, and they're mostly already together. We're going to be staying at the castle, chateau, and there is room for about two more people at the chateau. And it's a week-long trip with, we're doing cooking classes, we're having yoga and sound baths. We're going to some incredible like vineyards slash art installation locations in Provence. We're probably going to go to a goat cheese farm. We'll do a truffle hunt. I mean, there's talks about some other things that I won't announce yet because we're not sure, but it's a pretty action-packed yet relaxing trip because there's also a couple pools on the chateau site. So one can just hang out and do selfies by the pool. One can go on all the trips. One can go out to dinner every night. One can, do cooking classes. One can do, all the excursions that we're putting together. So I'm really excited about that. That's going to be amazing. I almost forgot that that's like, because it's 4 months away and it's hard to imagine being somewhere else right now when I'm in the thick of production and like sales. But that's going to be really fun.
And they are required to wear Soleil Sunwear?
Bien sûr. They're not required. However, it would be optimal. And I would love to actually probably do at least two of the people coming are already customers. And so I'm sure we'll get some group shots, which
I
would be a
have
great
I
competition.
have to introduce you to the president of EO Atlanta because he actually is bringing in a champagne line, and you are like his perfect target audience.
An
Yes.
actual line of champagne.
Yes, yes,
Love
yes,
it.
yes, yes. A champagne that will not give you a headache.
What?
So, right, right.
Oh my
People who are
God,
interested in
sign me
wellness,
up.
right? Okay. I'm going to introduce you. His name is David. He's the EO Atlanta president. So
Cannot wait.
you see, collaboration,
Cannot
uh,
wait. And then
allies.
I love it. I love it because that's how this works, really.
Yeah. And so how is it that, what can we do to help you to, to get the name out, your brand out?
Well, thank you for asking. I tell your friends. I mean, check out the website, soleilsunwear.com. Obviously, becoming a customer is a big way to support me. It's the number one way to support me. And then telling your friends about the products, huge, huge. It makes all the difference in the world. Of course, if you're a customer and you have something and you want to take a picture and tag Soleil Sunwear, user-generated content is really, really key to algorithm growth. So that's incredibly helpful. If you have a store or know someone who has a store that Soleil Sunwear would be good for, let me know, reach out. Bonjour at soleilsunwear.com or Christy at soleilsunwear.com. Yeah, I'd love to meet other entrepreneurs as well that are doing anything brand adjacent where we could do something fun collaboratively, even just social media, but if it's also, an affiliate program, like I'm open to those kinds of collaborations. I think they're so fun and so, rewarding. Actually, speaking of, I'm doing a collaboration right now with the Raya visors. So Raya has these awesome visors that cover your face. I wear them in my car all the time because that's the one thing I can't cover with Soleil Sunwear. And they're just such great women who have an incredible business and they're just wonderful to work with. So we'll be sort of collaborating together, selling each other's products, doing some socials together. So that's really fun too. Any ideas like that, I'm so open to and would love to hear from people.
And dermatologists.
Thank you. Tell your dermatologist about me.
Right?
Thank you. Yes.
One of my friends, Dr. Shirley Chi, like she has Instagrams with showing people how to apply sunscreen. And she usually does it on her child because her child's just like, okay, I need eye sunscreen. But when you have your kid line too, but I'll introduce you guys as well.
Thank you. I would really
Of
appreciate that.
course. Yeah, so, so happy. So I know you earlier you talked about like some of the biggest mistakes. In EO, we have this thing called the top 5% and the bottom 5%. What are some of your big mistakes you're just like, oh my God, like why? We've all had them. Is there anyone that
Mm,
you want to share? I'm sure that, we could all learn from it.
well, so I can tell you about an almost mistake that was really scary.
Okay.
So when I first launched, I sold products before I had them in hand because it was a soft launch and I was letting people know about it. And my manufacturer wasn't getting things back to me as quickly as I thought because I was new on his docket. He had other people that were more important and paying more ahead of me. So it took forever to get that first stock back. So when I got it back, I was so relieved. I had so many orders that I couldn't wait to fill. I was so excited. And just before I was about to fill one of my orders, I was like, you know what? I better try these on just to be sure that they are what I thought. All right. So I pulled on a pair of pants, and Kalika, all the waistbands were 2 inches too small. I
And you're
about
skinny.
and I have a small waist, and so I thought if these are too small for me, and thank God I did that because I thought if these are too small for me, these are too small, and I I had to have them all redone. Now, this was not my
Wow.
mistake. This is not my mistake, fortunately. In the tech pack,
But
the
good thing you
dimensions were
checked.
correct, but thank God I checked. So that was a near miss. Gosh, I know I've made so many other mistakes. Prototyping isn't just rife with mistakes. You can't believe how many mistakes you make and how much money you lose by making things that aren't quite right. So
But aren't you glad? Because now, like, the end result is like, I love them. They're
you
so
really have,
comfy.
thank you. Yeah, you really have to iterate before you go to market.
You
So I
want to
made a
hear
lot of
my
mistakes in that
you want
process.
to hear my mistake?
Yes.
I tried to iron your I
Oh
tried to iron them. And then
no.
I know, and then I burned it.
Oh
Stupid.
no. You know what? Maybe I should make that's important information. I should make that bigger on the packing slip that you can only see them.
Yeah, it's so stupid. I'm just like, oh, because I wanted to wear it out.
Oh no, we got to
No,
get
don't
you
worry.
another one. I'm
No, no.
so
Yes,
sorry.
I'm gonna buy another one.
Oh my gosh.
Add to my collection.
We'll get you another one. I'm sorry to hear that. Yes. I've been, I try to be very like all the warnings, right? But inevitably it's good to hear from customers directly. Like maybe emphasize that a little bit more. Yeah,
Well,
it's lycra and spandex or spandex and nylon, so can't really.
yeah, because you never think about like, oh, I'm going to iron my leggings, but it is so stylish. I'm just like, I'm going to wear it out to
Do you
like
have a
my
steamer?
dinner. Yes, I have a steamer, but I
Okay.
tried
But you know
ironing.
what? A lot of people
It was at a
don't.
hotel. I was at a hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I was trying to
Okay.
be, and I was actually in Europe. I'm like, oh, let me just iron this. Stupid.
Oh, I'm
Anyway,
sorry that
it's okay, Sam.
happened.
Now you have another repeat customer. Just kidding.
Love it.
Yeah.
Not for that reason, but thank you.
Yeah. I know it's really interesting that you just keep on going, you're persistent in your patience, and I'm so excited to see what's next for you, and also for your Provence trip, and making more connections with everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'm happy to share more about that trip if you'd like. I'll be sending out an e-blast anytime. Actually, that's another way people can sort me is just sign up for my mailing list. Just go to the website and click on that little dot that says, would you like to sign up for our mailing list? I promise not to spam you. I only send out one email a week, and that's during the sunny season. But I'll be announcing that trip soon. I think those spots are going to fill quickly. So would love to have people join.
Yeah, it's an incredible product, and I'm so, so glad that you're keeping it going because everyone needs your product and everyone needs sun protection.
Thank you. And you know what I realized too is younger and younger women are realizing that. So originally when I started the brand, I thought about women 40 and older, right? That's when you start seeing changes in your skin and you start realizing like, oh, I probably shouldn't have laid out in the sun when I was 18, 20, whatever. But now younger women are really well educated about sun protection. And are becoming more of a demographic that I'm looking to. So, and it was just so great, which is so great because first of all, the sun's getting stronger and there's global warming and there are all these other concerns that we need to think about. But I'm so glad the education is out there now.
Oh, I know. When I was in Hawaii, I would go up and sunbathe on my roof, black tar roof with baby oil. So, and so, like you said, your skin records it. And so, like my legs, like you can see it. Like it was just like, oh, this is, this is what happens when you put baby oil and you're on a black tar roof trying to get
Well,
sun.
you would never know looking at you that you were a sunbather. So you've done something else right.
Oh,
But
it
yeah,
was
that's
cute.
true. And then when my mom was growing up, I have a picture of her in the backyard with a tinfoil around her face to get a tan.
Oh, I remember that when people used to do that. I mean, we did some crazy stuff
Oh
now.
yeah,
Yeah.
bake, just bake. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We thought that that was so cool. And put
I
lemon in your hair, right? Try to get like
remember
that.
sun in. Did you ever use
Yeah,
sun in?
yes, I use sun in.
Yeah, to
So full
bleach
of
your hair,
yeah, yeah.
basically. Yeah,
Oh my gosh, how horrible.
things have changed.
Things have changed, and you're changing the world. So thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I'm so impressed by all the things that you've done, and I'm so excited to see what's next for you.
Thank you, Kalika. Thank you so much for doing this and
Of
for promoting
course.
entrepreneurs. It's really huge. It's such a gift that you're doing the work you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you. You're the best.